So at this point, you have probably had enough late nights and early mornings working on client projects, and you're feeling a little bit exhausted, possibly close to burnout, or have already experienced some form of burnout. And now you want to see, how do I make better systems, processes, and things for what they call work-life balance? In this video, I'm going to talk about a few methods that help me go from living with $20,000 of debt and not having a clue on how to pay it off, thinking it would take me 5 or 7 years, to paying that off in 100 days. And then from there, building up my business to $250,000 a year. It may sound crazy, and there were some moments in there that felt crazy, but I'm going to walk through systems, processes, things I've done to help grow and not lose myself in the process. If anything right now, and this could be hope for you, if anything, I feel healthier, happier, and more content than ever before. So it's going to take a bit of work. This is part of the process. I personally just believe it is part of the process to get to that next level. You need to learn your boundaries, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what's extra stressful for you, what's really easy for you, and then navigate that path forward. So let's begin. The first thing is this: I don't really believe in work-life balance. And the reason is the word balance just symbolizes a perfect unity between all these things. And I really don't think that exists. Maybe it's something you work towards or strive towards, but I really think you won't grow if that's what you're looking for. When you work out, you want to strain your muscles. You obviously don't want to strain your muscles too much where you strain them, they're repairing, and you're straining them again in the middle of them repairing. But you do want to be able to strain or push. I think a good word for this is stretch yourself. So work-life balance is something that I don't really understand how to use that phrase. The phrase I would use is putting work in its right position. Because work is something that is so valuable for us. It helps us grow, mature, bring impact to the marketplace, things like that I think are incredible. I love the fact that I know right now we're helping hundreds of people find answers to questions they have. This for me is work, but technically it is not work because I enjoy it so much. And finding that is what we're going to talk about right now. And I also know that I'm not going to sit here and record 27 videos in a day because that would be exhausting. I'd also be exhausted probably 3 videos in, and it wouldn't be helpful for you. So there is a balance here, but I just don't like using that word because it almost sounds a little bit too zen, and it's not realistic with life that's always moving, flowing, and changing. So a few things that are really important for work-life balance. It's going to be this: your device. Your phone needs to be with you at certain times and needs to be away from you at certain times. Right now, I'm sitting here recording this video. My phone is probably 20 feet, 30 feet away from me. It is not in proximity for me to waste time on it right now when I'm here recording videos for you. Also, at night, my phone is not near me at all. I do not sleep with my phone next to me. It is, again, in a separate room. These things help. So when I wake up, the first thing I do is I don't check my email. That will ruin your day. I know you've probably heard that advice before. People have said it a ton. But as a designer, where you possibly can get a new project in the morning, but you also could probably have a client who's upset or angry or is insecure and is yelling at you about something, well, it's just not a good way to start your day. You want to make sure you start your day with the right inputs, and you don't want to leave email or notifications to be those inputs that guide your life. So before we talk about a schedule in detail, I think a device is the first thing we want to address. You want to make sure your phone is there to serve you and it is not taking over your life. So turn off notifications, put your phone away, use do not disturb, use the new feature on iPhones, which is, I believe it's like the focus feature or the personal feature. Right now, most people who call me, it is going to go straight to voicemail. There's only a few key people who call me that it'll actually get to me because I only have a few hours a day that will really shape my life. And I've heard it said so many times that the most important work you need to do, you want to start your day there and you want to be able to focus when you do that work. It takes a lot of time to go into something, and the switching cost of switching into your phone and switching back is too high. It's actually one of the things that's really hard for me when I buy new devices like an iPad, and then my iMessage gets connected to it, FaceTime gets connected to it, and then I have 12 things ringing at the same time. I don't do that. I don't let my messages show up on my screen, notifications. Actually, I'll say this, my computer has 0 notifications. I think it is completely the worst spot for notifications to be. So I'm sitting there working, designing a website. I don't get Slack messages, none of that. No red little dots, all of that is turned off. Okay, so that's enough on that point, but that is a very important one. That's just setting yourself up for success. Next, the thing I would focus on is really give yourself up to 3 priorities per day. They say if you have more than 3 priorities in your life, you have no priorities. But when you work, set yourself up with 2 to 3 tasks that if you get these done for the next day, you'll be good. If you have a to-do list of 27 things, and trust me, I've had days, weeks on end where I always have 27 things to do, you just have to realize that a lot of that stuff is gonna have to wait. And so as long as you make sure you do the top 2 to 3 things, everything else will subsequently get completed. In that, there's 2 other things you want to pay attention to. So this is kind of like step 3 and step 4. The things you want to pay attention to, this is like Pareto's principle, right? 80-20 rule, if you've ever heard that before. So the 80-20 rule here, see what you really enjoy doing and see what you really dread doing. Because most likely what you really enjoy doing, you want to maximize, and what you really dread doing, you want to minimize. For me, I know at a certain point, I realized that working with certain clients who had very high expectations or just were difficult to work with was very stressful for me, because I would always be concerned that they might not like what was happening or this or that, or we wouldn't be able to have a conversation and solve an issue. So I had to realize that if I was getting to that point with a client, I already knew that as soon as I noticed that, I would either cancel the project, stop the project before it started, or refund the client. If I thought I could complete it without a lot of stress or just learn how to let go, I would do that as well. But I also realized there's this rule I have is have $1,500 on your desk. I just checked my desk. I don't have it right now, but I always say have $1,500 on your desk. That way, you know, if you have to refund a client or stop a project, you have the freedom to do that. It's something that I think we forget as designers, that if we start something, we have to finish it. Some cost bias or sticking with what a decision we made in the past. There's a bias for that. I forget the name of it, but you don't have to stick with that decision. If you started and you realize halfway through, this just doesn't make sense. Refund the client, stop the project, give them the site, no complaints. The time is gone. Don't waste your future. Stop it, move forward. So that stuff that's really taking up your energy, learn how to let go of that, and then really focus on the things that you like and learn why you like them. I have a list of things that I really enjoy, and it often revolves around learning and creating things for clients that are unique to them, but are approachable, which means like, I don't want to overly customize Squarespace or create the newest, flashiest thing. I don't really care about that. I want to solve business problems. And so I really enjoy solving business problems for clients who don't understand how to use the web or don't know how to create a website, and they're looking for my help to make that happen. Next, you want to build systems as you design. And what I mean is you want to have systems in place so that when you design, you're going through a workflow for yourself. It's not different every single time. So when I start a site, I start with settings, I then go to design, I then go to build small pages, and then I go build large pages. I go through that process. In that process, I use this thing, Time Timer. You can go buy on Amazon for 20 bucks. As you can see, I'm literally using it right now. I have a 2-hour window to film content. I'm halfway through that right now. And so when I create pages and sections, I set the timer. That is, what is that? Parkinson's law, where the amount of time you give something is the amount of time it takes. So play the game, make it a game, gamify it, whatever you want to call it. Make it something so there is a time limit. It's not, I have a whole day to make a homepage. It's actually, I have an hour and a half to make this homepage, or I have 60 minutes to make this homepage. For me, I could do the settings, get the initial design set up, and do the initial pages in less than an hour. So you're talking about, I could get to 60% of the project in less than an hour. Give me another hour or two, I could get the project to 80%, which leads to my next rule: deliver at 80. Don't try to focus on perfection. It's a big problem with designers. If you're feeling stressed out, burnt out, you may be spending hours doing things that don't matter. And you don't know that. You don't know that unless the client says, I really like this, or I don't like this, or I want to work on this further. So something I do is when I deliver that first draft, I let the client know I'm still thinking about some things, but let me know what your feedback is thus far. So then I don't spend 17 hours designing a footer that they don't even like. I get the site up to 80, do a little bit of finessing, make sure the vision is clear for the client. I record a Loom video, walk through the site for them. And then from there, they're able to then go through the site, get a feel for the content. And it's amazing because then they could start saying, oh, I really like this, or adjust this, or change that. So if you're feeling burnt out, you can try to cut your actual effort by knowing what you really like versus what you don't like. And in that, setting up a gaming system or setting up rules and systems that help you go through the flow. Just like if you worked at a 9-to-5 job, there are certain limits that even if you have more work, it's 5 o'clock and you can't do overtime. So you have to leave and you have to just let it be and start the next day. Next, this one may be hard if you didn't set the tone in the beginning, but you want to make sure clients know the rules and the boundaries. When I have a lot of clients and a lot of work, I try to avoid at the highest level clients texting me. That's important because if I go out with friends and I just want to spend 2 to 3 hours away from work, I don't want to just glance at my phone, especially if I'm out having a meal, gonna take a photo of my meal, whatever that is. I don't want to look at my phone and see 3 or 4 messages from clients at 6, 7, or 8 o'clock at night when I'm out having fun. So with that, what I do is I tell the client the phone is only for emergency use. Also, I try to avoid phone calls as much as possible. Clients communicate clearly if they communicate via email, or hopefully they're clear if they communicate via email. Phone calls are nicer because they're easier, but they also just take a lot of time, especially if you're doing planned calls. So if I have a call at 2 today, I don't really do anything at 1:45 all the way to 2, so I waste that 15 minutes. Then after the call, I might waste a few minutes. It's really important to just set priorities of what works for you and what doesn't. Maybe you absolutely love calls. For me, I don't. Maybe I'm more introverted in that way. I don't know. But I'd like clients to very much clarify what they want in email, in written format. Then I can go back and address those points specifically. So you've changed your phone, you changed your notifications, you're figuring out what you like, what you don't like, you're figuring out how to build systems for yourself. You're doing a lot of good things. The next one is this: you have to set a time where you turn off. In light of this world and the way things are right now, you can work all day, every day. And feeling burnt out is a byproduct of that. Yes, it might be nice for you to get in 2 hours between 8 to 10 p.m., but if you are working more than 10 hours a day, there is a problem. So figure out what's working for you and figure out what's not working for you. For me, I don't really like working late at night. I did it for a season, I did it for a while, but to work all day long and late at night was just adding to stress and also a lack of clear thinking. I really believe clear thinking, healthy sleep will help you work way more efficiently than necessarily working 27 hours a day. Right. So I think there's something really important there to figure out what works best for you. In my case, efficiency comes with good sleep and turning off at certain times. I don't check my emails at certain times. Oh, it's even worth mentioning this, going back to the phone thing. I don't have my email. I do not have my email on my phone. So when I'm out, my phone is my personal device. I paid $1,500 for that iPhone. It's my personal device. I don't want clients and other people dictating how I experience it. I only have my personal email there, and that's it. I don't check anything else. I don't even use the mail apps because I don't even like those. I just have a Gmail app for my personal email, and that's it. Now, this is the one I like the most and I want to emphasize the most, but might be the hardest to get and actually might take a lot more content to really address this. If you're working too much, you may have an issue with taking on too much work and or not charging enough and or perfectionism. But let's just imagine it's not perfectionism. Let's imagine you're running into an issue where you are either taking on way too much work. Say you're charging a great amount. It's really a healthy amount, but you're just taking on too much work. You really are pushing your limits. On the other side of that, you may actually be charging too little. A way to think about this is the simple economics formula of supply and demand. So right now, at your current pricing, there is way too much demand. But if you decrease the supply by raising your prices, you're gonna be in a position where clients are gonna say no. There are gonna be more clients who say no, but the clients who say yes, you'll be able to make more money from. So would you rather have 2 $5,000 clients, or would you rather have 10 $1,000 clients? It really comes down to that. You have to figure out what that balancing act is for you. And at the same time, you may be crushing it right now, and you may feel great in one regard, but also just really dread your life in another regard. Your health is dwindling, you're not really spending time in relationships, things like that. But you're making a lot of money. You have to decide what your limit is, because right now you're probably chasing money, and the fact that you're watching this video and you're not happy with your day-to-day, there is a conflict there, and you want to work through that conflict. I know when I was crushing it and making anywhere between 20 to 30K, there was one month I made 50K website design, 50K in a month. I closed, it was $46,000 worth of projects in 30 days. That month and the subsequent 4 months were some of the most stressful months of my life. But I also realized that year for me was a big focus and push for me to grow my business, put that money in the bank account. And so truly, I didn't complain about work-life balance. It just wasn't a complaint because I had made the decision to take on every single project I took on. And that was something I really had to emphasize for myself in that season. Now, I would never do that. Did I make 46K this month? No. But I also know that I'm going towards a different route of business, and that I'm really excited about the route I'm going on. And the route I'm going on is working right now, and it has so much potential to grow beyond 46K a month. So what I'm getting at right now is really figuring out what that dollar amount is for you each month. I don't really believe in the feast and famine of like freelancing, where one month you have 30K of projects and one month you have 5K. I personally have never really dealt with that. I've freelanced or had projects consistently for over 3-4 years now. I've never really dealt with those moments. I do have savings accounts in case I do have those moments, but at the same time, what I'm trying to get at is you figure out those numbers for you. What numbers do you need? What numbers do you want to get at? If making 20K a month is enough for you, then you could use that to your advantage. Tell clients, hey, if you want to work with me, you're gonna have to let me know, because I have 3 other clients who are lined up right now. And once I hit one more client or this much of a project, I'm not taking any more clients for the next 30, 60, or 90 days. So the more you could lay that out for a client, the more you're gonna be able to land the right type of projects. So money is gonna be an important factor in this. If work-life balance is struggling and you're not really making a lot of money, it might be that you need to raise your prices. And if you're scared to raise your prices, again, that's a whole nother video, but that's something you should probably look to address. How do you raise your prices and be confident to charge not just $40 an hour, but $80 an hour, or $160 an hour, or $250 an hour? So which method or processes are you going to implement in your day-to-day? Let me know in the comments below. We could continue the dialogue there. On top of that, if you got value from today's video, hit that like button. When you hit that like button, it lets me know that you got value from this content. And finally, if you got value from this content, consider subscribing. When you subscribe, you're gonna be able to get notified each and every week when we publish new videos. We publish, I think it's 3 new videos a week right now, maybe even 4, and it might even go up to 5. We're publishing new content consistently to help you build up your Squarespace training, build up your Squarespace design, build up your business, your freelance, all of that. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. With that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.